The Earth is no stranger to disasters. In the form of hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, and floods, it often makes its own. But people have also caused disasters that have hurt the environment and killed many people. Today we are going to talk about the 10 worst man-made disasters. But before we start our countdown, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon as well. So let's get started. 10. The Palomares Incident. In 1966, an American B-52 bomber carrying 4 hydrogen bombs crashed into a KC-135 tanker over Spain as they were refueling. The main cause was a lack of communication. The nuclear weapons went off when the plane crashed. 3 of the 4 bombs fell near the Spanish fishing village of Palomares. 2 of them had used their explosives that were not nuclear. Plutonium was spread over an area of 2 square kilometers, and freedom. The 3rd and 4th ones were mostly whole when they were found on land and in the water, respectively. Even though there were no deaths, it was only by chance that we hadn't seen a new Nagasaki. If this had happened, the world might not be here for you to hear these words. 9. London's Great Smog. During the winter of 1952, residents of London experienced the cold. When it came to heating their homes, most people back then relied on coal-powered heaters. As the cold became more severe, individuals drank more in an attempt to warm themselves. It would not have been a problem if there hadn't been an anticyclone directly on top of the city, which accumulated the burning pollutants and smoke and created a thick layer of smog over the entirety of the city. It had been going on for 4 days, but nobody paid any attention to it because of the way the city is laid out. However, the pollution was extremely hazardous, and it penetrated the lungs of virtually all of the people who lived there. Later in the year, when the medical reports were reviewed, it was discovered that 4,000 individuals had died prematurely and that another 100,000 people were suffering from severe lung problems. 8. Chernobyl. Since the Fukushima crisis showed that we haven't learned our lesson, the world needs to be reminded as often as possible how dangerous nuclear power can be if it isn't watched. Near Pripyat, Ukraine, there used to be a nuclear power plant called Chernobyl. In 1986, bad management led to an explosion that broke open one of the plant's nuclear reactors. This let a lot of radioactive particles escape into the air. The radioactive cloud went all over the USSR and Europe because of the wind. On the International Nuclear Event Scale, it was a level 7 event. Fukushima is the only other accident to get the highest score. Good job catching up with Japan. Even though the reactor was shut down as quickly as possible, the area around it, including the nearby town of Pripyat, was very contaminated. The residents were moved out right away, but the long-term effects of the exposure are still being seen today. On the day of the accident, 31 people died, and each year, hundreds more die from birth defects and diseases caused by radiation. 7. The Exxon Valdez oil spill. People today no longer have the capacity to grow and improve as a result of the experiences and lessons they gained from making mistakes. When the oil tanker Exxon Valdez ran aground on the California coast in 1989, it was on its way to Long Beach, which is located in the state of California. The team was exhausted, and they lacked sufficient personnel, both of which contributed to one of the most catastrophic contamination disasters in the annals of world history. About 119,000 cubic meters of crude oil leaked over the course of several days before the government of the United States could do anything about it. After everything was said and done, there was a thick layer of oil along 2,100 kilometers of coast and 28,000 square kilometers of water. The United States of America must constantly have a desire for more since they keep pouring it out into the ocean. 6. The Gulf War spill. Because of the stupidity of the people, 720,000 cubic meters of oil leaked into the Persian Gulf while the conflict was going on. It would appear that Iraq had the idea that it would be a good military strategy to fill the water with gasoline in order to make it difficult for United States forces to arrive. The animals in the area were forever altered as a result of this astute defensive maneuver. Because Iraqi forces did not make a serious effort to repair the damage they caused, there was an excessive amount of debris to clear up. The oil can now be found embedded within the layers of sediment that cover the ocean floor. Every sea animal experienced significant harm, and some local species were even wiped off entirely. Even after 21 years, the environment is still in the process of recuperating, and it has a long way to go before it reaches its previous state. The elements of Mother Nature can be quite harsh. 5. The North Pacific Garbage Patch. A gyre is a marine phenomenon that is caused by the way two currents interact with each other. It's basically a circle of water that spins around a central point. It can't connect to the nearby currents, so particles can't move from one to the other. In 1988, scientists said that all the trash that gets thrown into the ocean will eventually end up in one of these gyres and form a huge patch of trash that will keep going around and around forever. So it did happen. Between 700,000 and 15 million square kilometers are thought to be full of trash. About 0.4% to 8.1% of the Pacific Ocean's surface is made up of toxic sludge, plastic, gasoline, and other trash that has been thrown away. 3. The Tennis Coal Ash Spill. Fly coal ash was made at the Kingston Fossil Fuel Power Plant, just like it was made at every other plant of its kind. In order to store the ash, it had to be mixed with water and then put into dredge cells. But because of bad management, the mixture was kept in dangerously large amounts on a hillside. In 2008, after a strong rainstorm, the slurry got heavy and rushed down the hill in a huge mud and ash landslide. People in the southern states love to play on mudslides, but this one seems a bit excessive. 300 acres of land were covered with garbage, and a lot of Kingston's homes and businesses were destroyed. Residents and public land were damaged to the tune of $675 million, and it will cost another $975 million to clean up the slurry. 6 months later, only 3% has been taken out. 2. The Jilin chemical explosion. On November 13, 2005, there was a string of explosions at a petrochemical plant in Jilin, China. Operating systems that were not taken care of well led to explosions that broke windows up to 200 meters away. There were 6 deaths, dozens of injuries, and thousands of people had to leave the area. The event put 100 tons of pollution into the environment, mostly benzene and nitrobenzene. Surprisingly, it looks like no one was hurt in the accident when you look at the big picture. But 80 kilometers of toxic sludge covered the Songhua and Amur rivers. The amount of benzene reached 108 times the safe level. It lowers the number of blood cells in the body and can cause leukemia and other problems with the immune system if it gets into the body. Later, because of the contamination, the water supplies in Jilin and Heilongjiang province were turned off. Without the important supply, tens of millions of people were stuck. The number of people who died at first may have been low, but a lot more people died because of the explosions. 1. The Bhopal gas leak. In 1984, 30 metric tons of methyl isocyanate were released into the air by a pesticide plant in Bhopal, India. Before the accident, the Union Carbide India Limited chemical plant was in very bad shape and had broken a lot of safety rules. But over time, the mistakes added up, and on the night of December 3, a safety system triggered and emptied a storage tank into the air to stop a huge chemical explosion. When the chemicals were let out, they went all over Bhopal and the nearby towns. The Indian government says that 3,787 people died, but unofficial records say that at least 8,000 people died because of the disaster. So these are the 10 worst man-made disasters. We hope you found our video interesting. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Also, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new uploads. In the end, thanks for watching and see you next time.